kind of a Spartacus-style DLC. It's about 50% campaign, just missions and the sort of stuff you'd expect from an average Borderlands DLC, which is going from place to place and doing cool side quests and meeting cool people. And about the other 50% is sort of a horde mode, kind of tournament-style combat, like what you might have gotten from the Mad Moxie DLC in the first game. So basically, the structure of this DLC narratively is like a Running Man or a Spartacus or a Hunger Games, where it's like you sort of have your 5 big personality guys that you're trying to kill to become #1 on the leaderboard, on the Torgue badass leaderboards or whatever. So we've got Pyro Pete, who just really likes fire, and Mr. Torgue is constantly sort of making fun of the fact that he's he's very pro wrestling, and that he's got this one gimmick and he loves sticking to it, and he thinks he's a badass, but he's really just some dude who has a flamethrower.
Explosions!
Actually, yeah, and then we've got Piston, who is the sort of the big bad, who sort of screws you over early on, and it's not really a spoiler because Mr. Torgue says he's going to do it like 5 seconds before he does. Like, Mr. Torgue's whole purpose within the plot is to point out how stupid the plot is at times, to acknowledge, like, this guy's probably going to betray you and cheat on you, and he kind of seems like a jerk, so I'm just going to throw that in your face and have you be aware of it, so we're sort of laughing about the joke together. He does that a lot.
Is it just me, or does it seem like he's going to betray the fuck out of you?
Basically, we took the Torgue manufacturer, which is, in the main game, all of their guns fire explosive rounds. And when we knew we were going to do a sort of tournament-esque kind of DLC, we knew we wanted to connect that to a particular manufacturer. And then at the end, Torgue was the obvious choice because they're so over the top and so unsubtle and all that kind of stuff. And we figured, well, we've got the Mr. Torgue guy, but he's just a voice on the radio in the main game. We hadn't actually fleshed him out as a character. We didn't even know what he looked like. And then it became obvious that, oh, well, this is a really good opportunity to sort of put him front and center and have him be the sort of, to use a needlessly classy sounding term, he's sort of the Greek chorus for the DLC. He's always commenting on what's going on and all that kind of stuff.
Just head to the arena while I play you a sick guitar solo. Meow, 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 win, win, win.
And to sort of answer your question about the tournament stuff, it's sort of, if you want to, you can play through this whole DLC just as a campaign DLC. You can just go from mission to mission and then just never have to, think it was anything other than just a cool campaign. But if you want to, we have certain sections of the game that you can replay on higher difficulty tiers, essentially, that kind of feel more like a horde mode tournament-style combat. We have that for the Horde of Horrors fight at the beginning. After you go to Pyro Pete in the beatdown, there's a section there. So if you want to, you can treat a good half of the game as a tournament-style experience. But you can also just say, like, I don't want to do any of that, and just go straight through the plot and straight through the side quests and meet all the different characters, and it'll be satisfying on that angle as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like our next combatant has arrived. Does the Vault Hunter have what it takes to survive the Appetite for Destruction round? I think we all know the answer. Maybe.
We made more arena gameplay partially because fans like it, partially because it just lends itself, our gameplay lends itself well to that kind of combat of waves of enemies moving in and you taking care of them and stuff like that, and scrounging the area for ammunition. That just the basic core combat loop of Borderlands lends itself to that pretty well.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. The Horde of Horrors versus the Vault Hunter.
What we wanted to do was basically improve upon all the stuff that we had in the first DLC for the second DLC for the first game, the Mad Moxie's Underdone Riot. Take the things that were cool about that, which was arena combat and the flavor of Moxie and all that kind of stuff, but improve on what wasn't there. Which in the case of that game was the pacing was a little bit odd. It took a really long time to sort of get anywhere in that DLC. There was no narrative context for anything really. There's no story, and so this time around we added a story. We added a bunch more characters. There are side quests. You go to different areas. It's not just this one area you're enclosed in. You can very quickly there are new guns to get. There are new characters to meet. There's all kinds of stuff. In the same way that we took everything in Borderlands and then scaled it up and made it cool in Borderlands 2, we did something similar for the DLC, the Moxie DLC to this DLC. The arenas in this game are certainly, at their basis level, they are as difficult as any quest normally. But that's why we have the tiered difficulty system that I was talking about earlier, where if you want to, you can replay certain arena-style combats at harder and harder difficulty levels, and that's where you get your horde mode feeling of oh man, this is getting harder and harder. This, you get that circle of slaughter kind of feeling. And that's kind of what makes this DLC special to me, is that you can play it all the way through and just say, it's a cool campaign, or you can play it and then say, no, now I really want to dig into the horde mode and replay that particular mission at higher and higher difficulties with different enemies and different variations and stuff like that.
That was sloppy, Vault Hunter.
Listen carefully, mouth breathers of the world. This is Patricia Tanis, and I have found another vault. As you may know, the opening of the first vault 5 years ago triggered a chain reaction that revealed more from Pandora.
Boring! You don't want to hear about that, Vault Hunter! You want to hear about loot and packs and explosions! I'm Torgue, and I'm here to ask you one question, and one question only. Explosions?
Get off this echo frequency, you protein-guzzling buffoon! I'm trying to
That
convey...
sentence had too many syllables! Apologize!
As I was saying, I've discovered that this new vault is buried in the center of a large crater and will only open, and I quote, once the champion of Pandora feeds it the blood of the ultimate coward.
We at the Torgue Corporation sincerely believe this is fucking awesome! It's so awesome that we're gonna set up a tournament to find us #1 badass. If you want in, come to where the vault is buried. In the badass crater of badassitude!
That's not what the area is called!
Badass crater, badassitude!